Hey everyone, Rembrandt here with another video. Today I'm going to be talking about the state of software engineers that has been released by Hired. I believe this is a new report that just came out. Might have came out a little bit a while ago. I'm not too sure when this came out, but yeah, I just wanted to go through it. This is the first time I'm seeing it and kind of walk through it with you guys and see where we should be going in the future. It's always important to look at the new technologies and new skills that we're going to be introduced in the future. I think that the state of software engineering is exploding. The field itself, there's so many software engineers out there. So it's important to see where we're going, how we're getting there, and what we should be looking forward to. So let's get into it. Again, this is released by Hired. I'll put the link in the description to let you guys play around with it. And I just noticed how lazy Hired is. Look at this. They didn't make anything transparent. So you can see you can see the things go over the lines. Wow, that's terrible. And they have, I mean, they spend so much time on this. You would imagine that they would make it perfect. Good job, Hired. All right, so what do you need to know? Quick shareable insights from this year findings. In 2019, average salaries for top engineering roles went up by nearly 13% in London, 7% in Toronto, 7% in New York, and 6% in the SF Bay Area. These are all areas that are pretty common to the software engineering world. Right now, I live in the Bay Area. It is crazy competitive out here. There's so many jobs and there's so many engineers out here. So you can see that makes sense. You have top talent that you need to pay for, and they're all here. Overview. I mean, you can read that. I'm not going to read that. All right, here we go. So demand for growth in engineering roles for 2019. Holy crap. 1,400% for AR VR engineering. That is insane. Wow. What was 2018? Nothing? Wait, they probably just, this has to be data that they've, yeah, so role did not register near the top of the list last year, so a year-over-year comparison will be available in 2021. So yeah, be excited to see what this is in 2021, but this makes sense, right? Like, we have a lot of technologies that are coming out with AR and VR. I know medical field is huge for virtual reality. I know space navigation is huge for virtual reality. So there's a lot of things, a lot of applications, and really the applications is endless. You can go as big as outer space or as small as in-home. You have pretty much a wide range of fields to go into, which for engineering, it's always been the case. Like, you can always find something or somewhere to go as an engineer, whether it be in tech or health or IoT or real estate, whatever the case may be. There's always a field or a market for engineers wherever you go, because this is 2020 and we are in the world of the world of wide webs. Gaming engineer, yeah, that also makes sense. You have a lot of video games that came out, especially with the boom of Fortnite, PUBG. What's that other one? Arc something, Targon, I think, or Tarkov, whatever the name is. And then Riot just announced a ton of new titles. Their gaming card one, their shooter. I'm sure Blizzard is still top, and Activision is still top. So there's a big push for gaming engineers. Especially when you have a lot of the physics engines that are coming out that are blowing things out of the water as far as what you can do with physics in video games. So if you want to get into gaming, this would be the perfect time to switch careers if you want to do that. I think, where do I fall here? I fall here, front end. So I'm a UX UI developer. I don't consider myself an engineer, but they would group me under front end engineer, which is good for me because I could put that on my application. But not so much growth Yeah, I guess these are the fields if you're looking for a career change and you want to know like where to go. Um, Definitely the top five fields would be the best place to start looking. Higher Talent Insights, the year of AR/VR. 74% of engineers predict we will see the full impact of AR/VR within the next 5 years. Yeah, I mean, if you remember when Oculus Rift first came out, how big that was, how many people, how many developers there were like trying to, build games for that. I remember watching some videos of people playing AR/VR or playing VR video games that were like horror games. That like messed me up. I hate horror games, and watching those people play it freaked me out, especially if you are like seeing it right in your face. That is to me that's going to be the most enjoyable experience is watching people play VR. Salary trends for top software engineers. Okay, so let's see what's growing here. Yeah, look at that. Gaming engineers, big push for them. Increased salaries up by 11%. What about front end engineers? Not on the list. But yeah, again, like these are the big ticket items here, because everything that you hear about in the news today, you either hear about machine learning, you hear about AI, or you're hearing about blockchain. So those top three are going to be growing exponentially, especially since those skills are not really, there's not a lot of people that know how to, program a machine learning algorithm or program an AI algorithm, create blockchain. There's a lot of room to grow in those fields because there's not that many engineers right now. If you look in the market right now, there's a ton of front end engineers, a ton of back end, a lot of full stack, because I feel like those are the most common right now and the easiest barrier of entry, because there's so many resources out there. Like you can go on YouTube, you can learn Python in 4 hours, you can learn JavaScript in 4 hours, you can learn React in 4 hours. Like there's just so many videos out there that you can just Google and search and find things to learn and how to pick up a language. Where I think the more niche markets of machine learning and AI, you have a higher, like I said, a higher scale, a higher ceiling cap for skill. The hottest coding languages. Whoa, Go. All right, so of these languages, the only ones that I really know about, or the ones that I use, is TypeScript, JavaScript, and then a little bit of Ruby. So good for me. I have the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, the top 7. I'm in the top 7 languages, which is pretty sweet. It's good to know. I did not think Go or Scala would be up there. I honestly have not heard too much about them or haven't really done much research behind them, so I can't really speak to what those languages are. But TypeScript makes sense. The fact that it sits on top of JavaScript and it works well with JavaScript and compiles to JavaScript makes TypeScript the next best choice, especially when you want to start writing programs that are strongly typed instead of dynamically typed. TypeScript will definitely be the big winner as far as the hottest language to learn, especially since this just sits on top of JavaScript. And the learning curve is not that hard. I think you can spend a week programming in TypeScript, and as long as you know JavaScript and how JavaScript works, you will understand TypeScript as well. Most in-demand coding languages by market. Scala again. Hello. TypeScript. In Toronto, New York has Go, and London has TypeScript. So of the two of the 4 cities that are on this map, 50% of it is saying go with TypeScript. The other is saying go with Go and Scala. So you can pick and choose. I strongly suggest TypeScript, especially since a lot of the things that we do right now are on the web, mobile devices, React Native, iOS, Android devices. Like you can do a lot with TypeScript. most commonly used programming languages by software engineers. Yeah, that makes sense, and this makes sense. Java, I'm not sure the state of Java right now, but I feel like it'll phase out eventually, and you'll see. My prediction is 2021, you'll see TypeScript, HTML, Python, JavaScript, all in the top 5. Maybe even Go and Scala, since we're seeing the increase of demand for those languages. We'll probably see these move up. But yeah, I think Java will fizzle out. And you don't even see C# on here, which is pretty crazy. Experience matters. While Go may be the king across the hired marketplace, when we break down the most in-demand languages by engineers, years of experience, a slightly different picture emerges. For those with 4 to 6 years of experience, Go skills still win the day, averaging at 11.2 interview requests, well above the rest of the marketplace. But those with 6 to 10 years of experience are better off if they are skilled in Ruby, averaging 11 interview requests, and those with 10 year plus are best served by Scala and Go. Yeah, like I said, I think that Scala and Go are probably more niche, so you have a lot of the more higher tenured engineers like learning these things or being able to learn these things at a better rate because they understand programming, so they can probably pick these languages up pretty quickly. And then you have 6 to 10 years, which is Go, Scala, Ruby, TypeScript. Again, I think 2021 we'll see a pretty big shift. Go and Scala, this is the demand right now. I don't know why. I can't tell you what technologies use Go and Scala. But yeah, I think TypeScript will bump up. JavaScript will probably stay around the middle of the pack because there are so many people with this skill that you probably have just a big pool to pull from. So if you have 1,000 engineers and all of those 1,000 engineers have the ability to apply to the same company, the same 10 companies or whatever the case may be, you have so many other people that you can pull from. So this number will dip, maybe because there's a lot of people that have this skill. This number increases because not that many engineers have this skill, and this is becoming a sought after skill. So anyone that puts TypeScript on their resume, you'll have companies that will want to reach out to you. So yeah, like I said, learn TypeScript, be strong using TypeScript, and you'll see that you might get more interviews than just saying that you learn and know JavaScript. Most loved coding languages, yes, Python 1, everyone loves Python. JavaScript, I would say these two are the top because of the ease of use, and Java is third because of there's just so much built in to Java already that there's a library or there's something or there's a method for it. There's just so much, and you can learn a lot in Java. You can do a lot in Java, should I say. Factors that influence an engineer's language preference. I don't really care too much about this stuff. This doesn't really say anything about the marketplace of jobs for engineers. I guess that's it. Oh, here we go. This is important. Building a better interview. So yeah, while you're interviewing, what are interviewers doing in those interviews? We have 42% that do coding exams. Whiteboarding sessions are at 38%, and behavioral interviews are at 12%. But those, I feel like that's, which part of the interview process is the most stressful? Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Behavioral interviews are pretty straightforward. They just ask you how you would fit on the team, and doesn't really, I don't know, I feel like those are pretty easy breezy. As long as you're good at talking to people, you can do a pretty good job in those. The hardest part are these two, that's for sure. I get super nervous in coding exams. I also get super nervous in whiteboarding sessions. Those are just the things that I need to work on. That's because they're just hard. Sometimes I'll ask you a hard question from LeetCode. I don't know the answer, and really like having to sit there and think about the answer out loud and kind of trying to walk through that it's pretty stressful. So if you're good at it, great. I think that is a great skill to have, especially if you can talk about your code, you can walk through it all. It's really good. That's why a lot of the engineers that I know on my team, the ones that deserve the jobs that they deserve, they can explain things to you so well. It's mind blowing. Yes, this is so spot on. What do you think about coding exams? They are irrelevant to the daily job. You're not going to be doing hard LeetCode problems every day, unless you're in research, right? Unless you're in that field of researching algorithms or like creating or implementing new algorithms, like that girl from NASA who created the algorithm that found the black hole. Like those are things that are pertinent to your day to day. But if I'm a UX developer or a front end engineer, I'm just working with APIs and trying to pull data down and trying to make it look pretty and doing all those things, and none of that has to do with coding exams. But yeah, this is true. They're an effective way to test a candidate's aptitude. I agree. I mean, you can have really strong coders that know how to code. Like they can build you an application in a week. So it's a hit or miss. You can, like with coding exams, they are a great way to show the aptitude of the candidate, but at the same time, you can also get a false positive. You could have someone that does really well on the coding exam that blows it out of the water, but as soon as they start working or coding, you start to see a lot of cracks in their ability to code. So there is a lot to play around with there. I think the one thing that I saw was really cool is that there's some companies out there right now that are making their project open source, and what they're doing is they're pulling their workforce from the community. So what they'll do is they'll say, hey, you've contributed maybe 10 or 15 substantial PRs. Let's bring you in for an interview. We won't whiteboard you. We won't ask you for a coding exam. We already know how you code. We already know how you work with our code base. So all we want to do now is see how you work with our team. I think that is probably the best way to see what a candidate's ability is just, hey, open up some PRs here. If your code is substantial enough and you've contributed enough to our repo, let's bring you in, get you acquainted with our team, see how you fit, and if everything goes well, we'll give you a job. I think that's the best way to hire a candidate for sure. How did you learn to program? Okay, yeah. I mean, these all make sense. I'll tell you a little backstory of myself. I do have a computer information systems degree from DeVry. Do I use it? I don't. It's a pretty expensive piece of paper. I honestly learned so much more from being self-taught. And that's not to, say don't go to school. School is good for some, maybe not all. I think if you are really focused and you can really spend the time to teach yourself, then going the self-taught route would be great. There's a lot of free resources out there, a lot of courses that you can buy on like Udemy, Coursera, whatever the case may be. Pluralsight is a great resource as well, where you can truly teach yourself how to code. And boot camps are great because you can do it in a short period of time. I have a few friends of mine that went through boot camps, and they're doing successful. So there are options out there. You don't have to go to MIT or Harvard to be a computer engineer. you can be just as good as them and not have a degree. Or, if you do have a degree in like English or something and you want to make the switch, there are options for you. You don't have to go back to school, which is awesome. Developer interest versus employer demand. Again, machine learning topping the charts, AR, VR topping the charts, user experience. This is the field I'm in. That it's such an interesting field to be in right now, because you're playing around with how users interact with your website, how they're experiencing your website, and you have a story to tell them on your website. It just depends on how you want to tell them. Blockchain is pretty fun right now, and I think these top 5 are the most common. I think mobile and security might switch next year, as we become more mobile, as mobile devices get stronger. I would say people will start to make the switch to mobile. Again, there was like that surge of creating all the apps. I think this will switch places again. For a second year in a row, these are the top 10 career goals for software engineers. To continue building cool things, to become a technology leader, to be a product leader, to start their own company. I find this funny, to become a technology leader and to be a product leader. While those are great goals, I don't think everyone has the ability to be top leaders, especially in technology, when ideas and opinions are crucial in the state of an app. There are so many people here in Silicon Valley that start at a startup. The startup IPOs, they get a ton of money, and then they go off and start their own company. So this makes sense. And this, obviously, you want to continue building cool things. I think these are goals that are just, everyone says that, in their 10-year plan. I want to be a product leader, or I want to be a technology leader. Sometimes you're not. Unless you're in a field like business, where you have a clear-cut path to the top. Technology is very hit or miss. You can have a path of, let's say, 3 years you're a junior developer, which is, I don't even want to get started with that. 3 years you're a junior developer. Another 3 years you become a mid-level developer. Another 3 years you're a lead developer. Another 3 years you're a tech lead. Another 3 years you're a product. Like there's no clear-cut path, and the fact that there's so many variables in between that, like, there's just no way that this cannot be the career goals for the engineers. I think that it's nice to think about, but again, like, there's just so many variables behind that. If forced to choose, would you rather get up early and finish work early, or sleep in and work in late? Right now I'm working remote, and I'm up at 6:30, 6:45, and I start work at 7, because my company is on the East Coast and they're Boston time. So I'm 3 hours ahead. Our working hours are from 10 to 5. I get to start work at 7 and I'm done by 2, which gives me time to do extra things. My wife works here in the Bay Area, so she's not home until like 5 or 6. And I get to make YouTube videos. I get to make blog posts. I get to do all these sorts of things. So it's a good use of time, especially if you're up early and then you get to do all these little things, and then you get to make dinner and do all that stuff, and you're in bed by 9, 10 o'clock, and you get to decompress, and then you get to do it all over again. So I think it's important to wake up early and finish early, because if you sleep in and work late, I used to be like that. I used to want to sleep in and work late, but now that I've tasted the 7 to 2, it's hard to go back to. And I feel like if I find another job here that does require me to come in at 9 to 5, it's going to be a big change for sure. If forced to choose, would you rather work remotely 100% of the time or come into an office every day? I am probably leaning. I mean, now that I've worked remote for, this is what, my third month in. Um, Going into the office is nice. Like, you get to talk to people, you get to interact with people, you have the ability to pair program right there on the spot. VS Code right now has the pair programming system that they built in, but there's nothing better than actually sitting next to a person and talking to them and walking through your code and pairing up with someone that you know. Um, but that's not to take away the fact that working remote is nice. You get to take care of things at home, and you get to be in the comfort of your own living room or office or whatever the case may be. But yeah, this is crazy. Like, I thought it would be more on the working remote side because there's a lot more people in the office every day. But it's pretty much on par with what I think. Like, working remote is really nice, but at the same time, like, the perks of working or going into an office is great. Not to mention the endless coffee that I got, and the endless snacks, and the catered lunches. Like, those are all things that were great. But again, I probably lost like 10 pounds since I stopped going into the office every day. So that's I guess I don't know. It is a pretty close 50-50. I listen to the top two for sure. Sometimes classical, depending on the mood. I'll throw on some jazz or some real old classical music. Yes, I drink a lot of black coffee. Sometimes tea. Man, Soylent made the list. Wow. Um, these are my top three for sure: black coffee, espresso, and then tea. Lattes and cappuccinos, I don't drink too much because they're either high in sugar or high in dairy, which also contributes to your health. When asked to describe their average daily caffeine consumption, survey respondents reported the following. I drink about, depending on the day, I drink about 48 ounces of caffeine. 24 to 48 ounces for me, like that. It might be ridiculously high. I don't feel the effects of coffee anymore, so to me it's more of a drink than a stimulant. But yeah, so that's about it. That's the state of software engineering. I hope you guys liked this video. Please, if you enjoyed it, I plan on doing more things about the state of engineering, or whatever interests me. I will probably post a video about it. But yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comments, if these things make sense. Again, I'll post a link to this website in the video description. So yeah, until next time, see you later, guys.